Hey everyone, new Civil War reenactor coming to you with another video. This one's about Arsenal packs. Trying to get a little more authentic. My first foray into this is going to be using the Jefferson Arsenal packs. So they at least kind of pre-cut the paper for you, give the twine, give you a little block here to help you do the prep work. I didn't have a vise so you can see my duct tape. But a couple things I learned that are not covered in the main video. I'd recommend you watch their YouTube on how to make them, but a couple of opinion-based things. So number one is when you start using this forming rod, it says if you're right-handed, drag it across like this, and it actually says to have the forming rod up. I find it's better down because if you make this little ring that you can see right here that I'm making, you can pull it tight with your right hand. And the other thing too is when I started, I was like really worried, like how far up, how far down. The main thing is you take your finger here like this, and that holds the end so that the part doesn't rip off. So your fingertip's always there, and then you're slowly kind of like pushing this paper piece further and further out. They don't really explain that in the video, but that's the only way to get a tighter fix. I mean, you can still see there's still a tiny bit of a hole here. Now to deal with the hole, there's two things I want to bring up. One is you're actually going to have two pieces, one piece inside of another piece, because the bullet, which is simulated by this cotton ball, which I'll cut in half, it actually goes on top of this and then you roll it again a second time. Instead of doing it that way, I use the second approach they talk about, which is creating all the tubes first. And the reason being is if you try to put this on top and roll it and tie it off, because this thing is so weak, you can't get even a tie this tight on it, and the paper just rips. So my recommendation is make all your tubes first, and then what you'll do is you'll take this forming rod and you'll use it to push one of the tubes inside of the other one. They fit, so you don't have to worry about that. With a little pressure, it works just fine. And then the cotton also, although it's kind of stupid that it simulates a bullet, it's kind of nice to have in there because if you have a gap like this, no black powder is coming out of, or I should say this, no black powder is coming out of that little tiny hole because the cotton's blocking it. So just a couple of tidbits I learned on as I'm making these. My first pack is not that great, it kind of looked like this, but the other part is when you roll the packs, I mean, I don't have those 2 blocks of wood that they recommend, and you're supposed to kind of tie it like a present upside down. I'd recommend you do it with like just 5 cartridges, tie it up, get the shape of that outside packaging, and then put in the other 5 and tighten it up. They're not going to fit on top of each other perfectly. That's the other thing from the video. It talks about like stack 5 on top of 5 neatly. There's no way. Without the blocks, they move around too much. So anyway, just a couple tidbits I want to share in case that's helpful. Thanks everyone.